Hello everybody, today we are back with another PC build video here on the channel, and another video where we're building this one for our friend, the same friend who had another high-end build on this channel previously. He's getting another high-end build. So, I don't know where all that money's coming from, but we have a bunch of expensive parts that we're gonna be taking a look at today, and this is gonna be quite the build. So yeah, let's go ahead and go over all the parts that we're gonna be using for today's build. So here is the lineup of all the parts that we are gonna be using today. So let's go ahead and start with the CPU. For the CPU, we have an Intel i7 14700K and with that LGA 1700 socket type, 14th gen processor. It's quite large and quite the price tag, let's be real. All right, moving on, we have our GPU, which is gonna be that MSI Gaming X Slim GeForce RTX 4070 Ti Super. Quite the long-winded name, but this thing is absolutely beautiful, and I'm pretty sure in the last build we did for them, it was also another MSI card. So yeah, that one is also very, very nice. I don't know if it's as beautiful as the last one, but we'll just have to find out when we actually build this thing. Moving on to our motherboard, we have an Asus TUF Gaming motherboard, Z790 Plus Wi-Fi. This thing, I love Asus. I love everything they do. I love ROG, but I love the TUF series as well because it's sort of like a modern, sort of military type style. I don't know how to really explain it, but it's nice. I don't know how to explain it, but I love the stuff that TUF does. Next up, let's take a look at the RAM we're going to be using today, and this is actually going to be my first build using DDR5 RAM and from G.Skill. I don't think I've ever used any RAM from G.Skill either, but yeah, we have some G.Skill Ripjaws. I think that's an S5. I think this is 32 gigs of DDR5 memory, and let's see what speed we got for these. I think these are each 6,000 megahertz. I might be wrong on that. There's so many numbers right there, and it's not focusing for y'all either, but I'm pretty sure that's 6,000 for the speed. But yeah, very, very nice. Yeah, it does look like it is that 6,000. Yeah, now moving on to our storage, a fan favorite here on the channel. Every time we do a high-end PC build, we have one Samsung 1TB 980 Pro NVMe M.2 SSD. You can't go wrong with this thing. Every time I think about getting storage, this is what I think of. That or the newer version. Both are wonderful choices for storage. So yeah, definitely had the right idea going with this one for this build. Moving on to our power supply, I guess. We have another MSI power supply, like in the last thing. This thing is really heavy. I don't know if I can hold that with one hand like that. 80 plus gold rated, and this is the MAG AB50 GL PCIe 5. I'm assuming that just means it's available for use with those newer I guess graphic cards. So this thing is ready to go, and it's gonna get the job done, hopefully. I really hope that he put this through that PC part picker before this, because I don't want to run into any issues later on. Moving on to our CPU cooler, if I can move everything out the way, we have the NZXT Kraken Elite 360 RGB. NZXT is only getting better with their liquid coolers. I personally own the Kraken Z73, and just comparing this to this cooler right here, it's night and day. They've really upgraded. All right, because I already unboxed this in another video, and I gotta say, I'm looking forward to showing y'all all the cool new features that they've added on these new coolers. But yeah, we have that for our liquid cooler for the CPU. Moving on to our final part, and probably the most beautiful in my opinion, we have the Fractal North XL computer case. Now, if y'all don't know what this is, y'all might have seen it maybe here and there, but this is that famous case. It's pretty much mostly black, and then on the front, we have some beautiful, I want to say cedar. I don't know. We have some beautiful accent wood on the front panel, and then there's also some accent pieces like brass. It might be brass, or it could be any other metal, who knows. But yeah, they have some nice little accent pieces of metal scattered around the PC for a nice little modern nature little vibe. I like the look of it, and it's definitely going to be very, very nice to see all this stuff put together. I am kind of concerned on how all this RGB is going to blend with that, because that's sort of like a minimalist type of style, and this is a RGB, which is not. So yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how that all meshes together. But now it is finally time for the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time to get to the PC build. Let's get it. All right, starting with our beautiful motherboard we have here, let's go ahead and open up this bad boy. And oh my goodness, it's breathtaking. It's breathtaking, folks. And now y'all be able to get a better look at this absolutely beautiful board. Here we go. Wow, look at that. That thing is absolutely stunning. Now that we have our beautiful motherboard out of the plastic, we can finally go ahead and put in our CPU. Wow, wow. Go ahead and open up this bad boy. All right, we can toss this to the side. All right, pull it out of there. Let's take a good look at that thing. Ooh-wee, it's pretty. All right, so now we can go ahead and put this in the board. So to start that, we're gonna go ahead and lift up this lever, and wow, that thing has a lot of tension in it. And then just lift up that point right there. And now we just gotta line up the CPU and hopefully not bend any pins. So yeah, I don't know if y'all can really see that, but there is a little bit of a triangle, and they have an even bigger indicator nowadays. It used to only be that tiny gold triangle, but now they also have one on the actual, I guess, block. I don't know what you would call that, but yeah, it lines up with these little notches right here as well. So just make sure you don't put it the opposite way, and you should be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that it's like all other boards, and it just goes in like so. Very nice. Then we go ahead and just slide that on down. And that should pop off like so. It is all right to get scared at that part. It is kind of scary. And then you push down. Ooh, that is always terrifying. But now that we have our CPU in, we can go ahead and put in our storage. So to start this step, you're gonna go ahead and just move a little bit down, and it should be this one right here. You can also install, I'm pretty sure, 2 more under these 2 areas right here. But we're only gonna be installing the one that's just right up here. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start by unscrewing this piece right there. Actually, I didn't see the other screw, but there's another one hidden right over here as well. So yeah, we're gonna take out these 2 screws, and then yeah, we'll be able to put that thing in there. All right. That's 1. That's 2. And bada bing, bada boom. Like so. And that is that thermal pad that you gotta remember to take off that film, or else you're gonna be having some issues. But now it's time to finally open up that SSD so we can put this bad boy in there like so. Oh my gosh, I almost cut myself. All right, we got that after not butchering the box. And then we're just gonna slide it on out like so. And look at that thing, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. And then we're just gonna grab this and drop it on the floor. So now that you have your SSD like so, you'll see these sort of parts right here, and those are just gonna go into this area right here. So go ahead and just push it in there, and you might do it at an angle. It might be easier, so that's the angle it's at. And then you'll see it's a little bit of a springy area right there. You'll push this down, and then you'll rotate this gizmo like so, and bang, it's stuck in there. It's not going anywhere. Sometimes you'll also screw one in there, but this one has a really neat thing where you can just flip these little things like so. And now that we have the SSD in there, we're gonna go ahead and grab this little heat sink part right here and peel off this film. I actually almost just forgot it. I was about to screw it back in, but you know, I remembered that's the important part. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and peel that bad boy off there, and bada bing, bada boom. Let's put it back on. Which was, oh yeah, it went this way. Make sure you're putting it back on the right way too. You know, that might help. Okay. And you wanna do you want to go back and do each side individually, or I guess one by one, just to make sure you're getting that even pressure on both sides. Because you don't want the heat pad to be unevenly, I guess, squished, you know? So just as soon as it starts to feel a little bit tight, that's perfectly good right there. And that's not going anywhere. So now we have that SSD installed. Now it is time to install that RAM. When it's finally time to put in that RAM, the slots that you're usually gonna wanna open are gonna be, I'm pretty sure this is A2 and B2, so those slots right there. I know it's sort of confusing because you would assume you would put it in the first slot and then the third, but you actually start with the second and the fourth. So now we can go ahead and open up our RAM like so, and hopefully not drop it. All right, nice little card. And a little sticker. You know, I love getting these stickers though. All right, and then we'll go ahead and pull out these sticks if I can. Ooh, okay. All right, set that one to the side. Oh my goodness. All right. And I gotta say, the build quality of these RAM sticks, I'm messing with it. You know, it's got a nice little, I'm assuming, aluminum shell on the outside. But yeah, let's go ahead and now finally put in these RAM sticks. Just make sure you're putting them in the right way. You know, you'll know if you're putting them in the right way by this little notch right here and just lining it up with that notch right there. So let's see if this is the right way. Is the correct way. I was about to say is not the right way, but yeah, that is the correct way. So then we're just gonna go ahead and give it some force and try not to push that way, or you might snap it. All right. That one wasn't the most satisfying click, but it's in there. And then we'll get the other stick and do the same thing. That one is a lot more satisfying. All right, so now we have all of our parts in the motherboard. We have our 2 RAM sticks, our processor, and then we have our SSD right here, like so. And now it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for, putting this motherboard inside of that case. So let's go ahead and get to it. Time for the case. Ooh, thing is massive. All right. Hope it's not too fragile. Voila. Beautiful. Now I am gonna put a microfiber towel on the table just so I don't scuff up or scratch this other side right here, you know, because I'm just a professional like that. Come on. All right, let's just put that right there. Okay, then set this bad boy on its side. All right, bada bing, bada boom. There we go. And then this thing should just slide out. There it goes. Nice little tinted piece of glass. All right, everybody, now it is finally time to put in this motherboard. But one thing we should do before doing that is actually taking off this little IO shield, little protector, I guess, just because it's a lot harder to do when it's in that case. Bam. Look at that thing. Now let's go ahead and just pop this thing in there. Try not to bend those RAM sticks while we're at it. All right. And there's also some little notches in here that also just sort of set it in there a lot easier without the screws. But you know, we're still gonna be putting in those. That just helps you line up those screws when it's actually in there. And now it's time to finally screw in this motherboard. We got all the screws ready to go. Let's go ahead and get to it. And that's all of them. All right, now that we have the motherboard inside of the case, it is finally time to install the actual AIO mounting hardware. So we have the Intel kit right here, and this is gonna be my first time doing the newer stuff with the NZXT, so we're gonna be both figuring this out together. There's also instruction manuals, but who needs them? Who needs them? So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and flip this thing over and take off that back panel and get to installing this Intel kit. All right, we have the Intel bracket kit right here. Let's open it up. That is the 1700 that we need, and then this is the 1200, so we don't need that one. Go ahead and take this one out the bag. Now there is a little bit of a 3M sort of thing. I'm wondering if we actually stick that or what the deal with that is. Make sure you slide all of them outwards, and then they will go through that. And I guess we'll put on this little 3M thing. I guess we'll make sure we put it on the right way first. You know, I don't want to mess that up. All right, I'm taking off the 3M thing. We're gambling. We're gambling, folks. If it sticks, it sticks. Let me make sure I did that right. Bada boom, bada bang. They lined up. That's why you gamble, kids. You take off the sticker and you hope for the best. So yeah, now we're gonna go ahead and screw these little bad boys in on the other side. Can y'all see that? Usually this is the most irritating part, honestly, with installing the AIO. That, or if you're doing a different type of radiator setup, ooh wee. It's quite the ordeal. quite the ordeal to go through. The most difficult one, probably. All right, well, we finally have these 4 little pieces right here installed, and now we can get to actually putting that pump on top of there. But there's one thing that we still need to figure out, and that is how we're gonna mount our radiator, whether we want it on top or if we want it to the side like this. Again, we'll probably just have to see how the graphics card will fit in there first, and then we'll get to decide which way we'd like to do it. But usually the top looks the best in my opinion, but we'll just have to see. All right, guys, I think I've decided on what the orientation I want the AIO to be is now. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put the radiator on the top and then have this thing come down and be on the CPU like that. Just cause I think it won't interfere with the GPU as much. And it looks the best and it has the best water flow compared to this one. If I was to put it in like this, it would it'd be twisting a bit and it'd be it would just not look as good. So yeah, we're gonna be going with the radiator on top. So let's go ahead and put the fans on this one first, and then we're gonna get to screwing that into the top. So I'm pretty sure that this AIO only does the simple mounting method, which is where we just put the radiator on there, screw it to the top, and then we screw in the fans at the bottom, which I'm completely all right with, but that seems to be the only orientation that you're able to put it in. So we're gonna go ahead and put this thing in. I'm gonna start by taking off this top right here, and then we're gonna be screwing in that radiator first. So yeah, the radiator has a bit of room to shift back and forth, but I think we're gonna go ahead and move it all the way down towards the back IO, because this is sort of where the radiator starts and this is where the radiator ends, so it'd be the most, I guess, the efficient orientation in terms of airflow. So we're gonna go ahead and keep it all the way to the back IO, and then just screw it in at that area. All right, that's not going anywhere. That thing is clean. All right, now it's finally time to put in these fans, and should I say fans or should I say fan? Because it is all one single freaking block. Would you look at that? This is what I was talking about when I was saying NZXT is only getting better, folks, you know, and it's all one cable. You don't have to have a whole fan header to have everything connected. It's just one cable and 4 screws. I mean, it's probably really, really expensive to replace, but very cool. Very, very cool. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and install that. We're gonna go ahead and install that now though. All right. Yeah, this is so much easier than how it usually is. Oh my gosh. Shout out NZXT. Not sponsored, but hit me up. Hit me up. Come on. And that one is good. Yeah. All right, guys, finally time to put this pump on that CPU. And we don't have to apply any thermal paste because they already got that pre-portioned amazing amount right there, which is my favorite because I don't like overdoing it, and this is probably the cleanest you'll ever see thermal paste, which is why I love it so much. So yeah, now we have to see what orientation we want to put it in. Now keep in mind, no matter what way we put it in, you can switch it in the software. But yeah, I'm liking that orientation, so I think we're gonna go ahead and get to it. Set it down in place, no moving it after. And now we got these really nice, I mean, I gotta say, they've upped the quality of these little bits right here. Look at them. Very nice. Or maybe they've always been like that, but I haven't gotten the crazy additions of them. I don't know. Is everything in there? Yep, every single one's down. I just gotta screw it in now. Just gotta screw it in and not mess up. No pressure. No pressure at all. No, I'm not gonna screw it down to the max with this thing. I'm just getting it started with this thing because you don't want to screw this thing down so hard to where it puts that thermal paste at a very thin amount. I'm just doing it until to make it easy. So now we're with our fingers, we're gonna tighten it until it starts to get you know, there. That looks good. Looks very good. And y'all can't even see the fans on top. Look at that. It is all good to go. I think we're gonna go ahead and install our GPU just to make sure everything fits in there correctly. And I know y'all really want me to do that, so we're gonna be doing the GPU. So to begin with the GPU step, we're gonna go ahead and start by taking out these top two. Oh my God, they are in there. They are in there. They're supposed to be thumb screws, all right? Not freaking impacted in there screws, come on. All right, so now we'll go ahead and take these two out, like so. All right, now for the moment we've all been waiting for, it is time to put in that GPU. Let's go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Ooh wee. Next, we'll screw in the GPU so it doesn't have any movement. Bada bing, bada boom. That thing is in there. Honestly, this isn't that heavy of a card. I'm not sure if I should install the sag bracket or not. All right, guys, I decided that I'm not actually gonna put in that sag bracket because while this thing is pretty massive, it's not as heavy as that other MSI card that we installed. I think it was like a 3090 Ti. I was looking it up online and some people were saying it's not the best bracket to begin with. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and keep that thing just how it is because yeah, that thing is, it's not going anywhere. That thing is fine in there. But now it's finally time to actually put in that power supply right into there. So yeah, let's go ahead and bring this thing up and unbox that power supply. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and start by just taking out these two right here, and then we'll mount the actual power supply to this thing, and then it'll slide back in easy and done. All right, so here is the power supply. Wowzers, look at that thing. Fully modular, very nice. Actually might have to do it like that, yeah. That's probably a lot easier. All right, that is all screwed together, and now we can just slide it on in, I guess. Like so. And would you look at that, it does fit. Bang. I'm gonna screw it in for now, but we might take it out when we actually do that cable management, because it's probably a lot easier to do all that stuff. And bam, that power supply is in. All right, folks, that is finally all of the parts inside of this PC. Now it's time for the part that most people probably don't like, but I enjoy it when I'm not recording. Cable management. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get all these cables, and I'm gonna just, I might time lapse this because I know not a lot of people like seeing this, but I'm gonna go ahead and wire this whole thing up, and it should be a pretty good time. So let's go ahead and get to the cable management. All right, guys, I finally finished all the cable management, and it's not my finest work, but it's also not my worst. So I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all real quick what it's looking like on the back side panel. So here is the setup we got going. I know, not the prettiest. Okay, so yeah, that is the back side panel right there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all the inside real quick. Let me go ahead and flip this around. And then this is what the inside is looking like. We're getting to that step to where we're turning it on pretty soon. I just have to put on those side panels again. And I did do a peel, but apparently I wasn't recording, so y'all kind of missed that. But yeah, this thing is looking pretty nice. And I promise it'll look a lot better when the side panel is on, at least the back one, because right now it doesn't really look like it's cable managed. But I promise, there's no tiny cables hanging anywhere really. They all go up into those little hiding spots, and everything is looking good. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put on these side panels now, and we're gonna be getting to that big step pretty soon. There we go. Yep. You know, now it is a thing to where you're not supposed to put on these panels until you turn it on, but I'm the king. Oh damn, as I drop my screwdriver. But no, yeah, we don't play those games around here, you know. Whatever happens is gonna happen. Bang. Woo-hoo. That thing is clean. That thing is clean. All right, so now it is finally time to plug this thing in and see if it turns on. All right, guys, it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for, the first power up of this brand new PC. So let's go ahead and flick that power switch. But now we will go ahead and press that button. Here we go. Ooh! Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, it should pop up on my screen though. I put it in, right? Oh, there we go. We got a post. We got 32 gigs of memory, DDR5 at 4,000. That's not right. That is good. That is good. New CPU install. Press F1 to enter setup. Let's get a closer look so y'all can see how pretty this thing is. I mean, we still have to peel it, I know, but look at those, dude. The glowing freaking fans above was definitely the right choice because it sort of is like the only amount of light that's coming in there. Like if I was to turn off all these lights real quick, like look at that. Jeez Louise, it's gonna look even better when we take off that plastic wrap. It's definitely not as bright and colorful as that last build we did, but I'm all right with that, you know? Oop, those lights are back on. And there is the Windows thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and install Windows and I'll get back to y'all when I've done everything there. All right, guys, I went ahead and finished installing Windows as well as all the other lighting software that we would need for this build. And I gotta say, it's looking beautiful. It's looking absolutely breathtaking. But one thing I gotta let y'all know is I probably won't be doing any game benchmarks for this build. And of course, that's when my mic would decide to cut out. You know, when I'm talking all this stuff about the computer. Basically, guys, I was not able to do any game benchmarks for this build because of time constraints. I just didn't have enough time to get everything done. But you know, that's all right because we still have this amazing, beautiful computer to look at. I ended up going with this sort of bronze, you know, like orangish color just to match the overall, you know, wood aesthetic going on the build. But let me stop everything because now it is time to finally take off this wrap, and oh my goodness, it's breathtaking, folks. But yeah, this computer came out so nicely. As you can probably tell, I was not able to get the lights that are sort of backlighting the motherboard because Armory Crate decided it didn't want to work with me. So yeah, there are the little bit of rainbow colors coming in through there. But all in all, I think this thing came out absolutely amazing. So you know what that means? There's only one more thing left to do. So let's get to it. But now it's time for the cinematic shots. But yeah, guys, that is going to be the end of this PC build, and quite the PC build it was. You know, this thing came out so amazing and I had so much fun building it, and I hope y'all had as much watching this as well. But yeah, guys, if you want to pick up any of these parts for yourself, I will have them all linked down in the description. And also, if you want to watch any of the unboxings for these parts, I will also have those linked in the description. But yeah, guys, that's going to be the end of the video. If you enjoyed, feel free to drop a like, comment, and subscribe, and it's been real. Peace out.